Welcome to Unbreakable Latina.
And there's reasons why, because you have been in situations where you were attacked because you were gay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that story that you told me.
So, like I said, I grew up in Holtville, close to Mexicali, so we would all go to the bars across the border in Mexicali.
She's borrachos.
Ay, sí, éramos. Pero estaba bien barato, $8, open bar.
Damn, vámonos ahorita.
Un desmadre. So, I was at a gay bar, and across the street from the gay bar, there was a strip club. So, había unos vatos, unos señores. I was 19.
How old were those señores?
In their 30s and 40s. But they were big guys. They were like 6 feet tall. I'm not very tall. You know, I was a lot thinner than I am now. But I was at the club, and then that area is walking distance from the border, like to para la garita, para cruzar. So I walked out of the bar. They started yelling, pinche puto, joto, blah, blah. So I was like, I ignored it. Did not even make eye contact. I'm like, if I make eye contact, they're gonna take that as a challenge, and they're gonna kick my ass. Mm-hmm. Rápido, I walked to the border. They were walking towards the border too, but they were far behind me. So I was like, oh, I'm good. Cross the border. I'm like, whew, ya estoy bien. Nothing's going to happen. So in La Garita, everybody parks their car in the same area, same parking lot. Walk to the parking lot. They catch up to me. And then they start yelling more homophobic slurs like pinche joto, pinche puto. And they just attack me. And they start punching me and they start hitting me. I was very lucky that since it's the border, like I said, there was a border patrol agent literally right there. So he kind of saw everything happen. So he was there within 30 seconds. So sí me alcanzaron to bruise a rib, and then they busted my lip. Once the border patrol agent got there, they stopped. I think he even maced them.
Oh my God.
Okay, it was like
Did they arrest him?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It was 4 guys, and then the local police showed up too.
But they were all your friends.
They were all my friends.
Oh my gosh.
So les pusieron una putiza a esos vatos. They took the report from me, whatever. No me pasó nada, thank God. But I always had in my mind,
Why?
if that border patrol wasn't there within 30 seconds, when were they going to stop? When were they going to stop? ¿Y por qué? I was like, dude,
No les hiciste nada.
Es más, cuando me gritaron, los ignoré. Mm-hmm. And they still came after me. It wasn't like we were at a bar y me los topé y me empecé a pelear con ellos. No. I walked away and they came after me. You. And up to this day, I don't understand. Why did you feel the need to attack me? Why? ¿Qué te afecta who I am? And luego me afectó más because the guys were saying that I was throwing myself at them. That I was offering sexual favors and that they felt attacked, and that's why they beat me up.
Oh my God.
And I remember I looked at the cop that took the initial report, and I was like, dude, there are 4 of them, and they're 6 feet tall. I'm like, you think this happened? And he's like, I know it didn't happen, but that's what I have to write that their statement was. And I remember I was so they're throwing it back on me. You came after me. You fucking attacked me. Mm-hmm. And I don't get it. Why? I was so frustrated. I wish I would have known better at the time.
Your rights and everything.
Yeah. We went to court. And they pled to fucking misdemeanor. At the time.
For what? It was just assault or what?
Yeah, battery.
But not hate crime or
anything. No,
anything.
And that's the thing. Now that I know better, and at the time it was different times. I don't think those enhancements to do hate crimes were
a thing.
So they just pled to a misdemeanor. I think they got 40 hours of community service, and that's it. I wish I would have known better, and I would have told, no, I'm not okay with this. They attacked me.
Well, because it was further than just to some guys just jumping you. It was further than that. It was for no reason and for being hateful.
Basically, a hate crime turned into, it was just a bar fight. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's not what happened. I didn't say anything at the time. I didn't know any better. But it was difficult, and that was part where my mom was scared. I was 19 at the time. I was already out of high school and everything. But my mom, I remember being fuck, como
this is exactly what I was worried about.
Yeah. And I remember the guys telling me they didn't want to tell me. I think eventually they told me, like, dude, these guys do not feel any remorse when they arrested them. Then they were laughing.
Oh my God.
I was just like, wow.
And at that moment where, you said that you were very protective at work and you didn't want to tell anybody. Once that happened, did you have to tell your coworkers, or did they know?
They kind of knew. Yeah. It was kind of like
a reassurance kind of thing.
It was known, but it wasn't like I had officially mentioned it. When that happened, and I told them, well, they said this to me, and I was coming out of this gay bar. It was like, okay, so it's confirmation. Like, okay, so you are gay, even though everybody knew. And then after that, I had a great relationship with all these guys. I would party with them all the time. I would hang out with them. So, and I had a great relationship with these guys, but I feel like my relationship at work for some reason has to take more time than what I consider other people.
Yeah.
Like, I have to reassure, like, okay, especially with men, like, are they cool? Like, let me wait it out.
Sometimes even women, remember?
Yeah. Like, you see the guys at work, como, at the beginning, I'm very standoffish. Like, every time we get a new one, I'm like, what's up? And I'm very, like, professional. I'm just like, okay, we need to do this. Once I notice, like, oh, they're cool. They're cool. And then I start, like, opening up a little bit more and more. Yeah, hasta los vatos, they're more gay than me. You don't know.
That is facts. So, like, your story was easier than most people's stories. What would you say to someone that is afraid to come out?
It is really hard. I like I said, I was very blessed with very amazing, open-minded parents. And I understand that's not everybody's experiences. That's not everybody's situation. But be yourself. Like, there's nothing like being yourself. Like, there's nothing like
living your truth
and loving yourself. Like, I feel like I consider myself a pretty, like, funny person. Ahorita estoy bien nervioso, so I'm not being too funny.
He's really hilarious.
Pero I feel like all that humor was suppressed. All my fucking...
You could have been a comedian.
Neta que sí. Like, when I was a kid, I was never, like...
Yourself. You were always afraid.
If I talk, they're going to make fun of me. When I was in high school, I have to put up this masculine, like, persona. And I'm very masculine presenting. And I know I have a privilege of being masculine presenting, having a beard. And I could go to, like, straight spaces, like straight bars. And for the most part, people would just assume I'm a straight guy. And I understand that's not everybody's situation. Yeah. And I understand it's a lot harder for someone who's a little bit more flamboyant, which I fucking love that they're out there and being themselves. They have more balls than I do. Because I still, to this day, you're cool for a gay guy. Mm-hmm. For the longest time. And that's so problematic. Like, I'm just cool, period. Mm-hmm. I'm not cool for a gay guy. I'm just cool. Mm-hmm. So, but I ran with it because that was the way for me to be part of people and not to be attacked and not to be judged so much. And I am very masculine presenting, and I feel like I have it a lot easier than a lot of other queer people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, it's different. My relationship with the straight world could be a little bit easier, a little bit more different than a lot of the queer people. Yeah. And I am very aware of it. I take advantage of it. Yes, I do. I'm just trying to survive like everybody else. And there's times where I'm like, hey, I want to fag out a little bit more. Yeah. No me doy el permiso, because I'm like, well, I've been such a masculine guy for the longest time that to me to be feminine is like it's hard, like, to let myself go there. And I just had a conversation with a gay friend, and he's gone through a similar thing where he's like, dude, it's so hard to just be more flamboyant. Like, he's always on alert, like, okay, be masculine, look tough.
Do you think that has to do with, like, your culture, like, growing up Latino?
Definitely. I feel like if I tell my parents I'm gay, but if I tell them that I'm a masculine gay, it's easier on them. Yeah. And it was easier for me in general, just in the world we live in. And, like, being realistic, it's easier for me because I'm very masculine presenting. Mm-hmm. But so I ran with it. And then also at the time, I didn't have a lot of access to, like, drag race or, like, drag shows or fashion. I didn't have access to that. So I knew lo poquito que tenía, which was a lot of, like, masculine things. Yeah, and I ran with it.
What advice would you give a family member, like, let's say, like a sister, brother, mom, or dad, for them, maybe they know that their son or daughter is gay and they don't know how to go about it?
Let them be. Let them come out at their own time. Never,
Don't
never
force it.
No, that I think that's the worst thing you could do. Like sit down your like son and daughter and be like, I know you're gay. Just tell me now. That's the worst thing you could do because they don't even understand what gay means. So for you to do that, it's kind of like putting a label on them that they're not even
They don't
sure.
even know what label they are.
They don't even need a label sometimes, but they're not sure what they are. So like I think about it when those kids were saying to me like, oh, fucking faggot, you're gay lord. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I know it means something negative.
So you don't want to.
So I adopted that label. So I adopted that negativity because they were calling me that because I didn't understand what it was. So any family member, mom, parent, sister, let them be and just make sure you let them know they're loved no matter what. That is, you're loved and you're safe with me. See, lo que sea, but you're safe with me. And I think that's the best thing you could do for someone. And let them come out at their own pace. If they come out when they're 12 years old and they come out when they're fucking 25 years old. And then at the time, you could say like, oh, mijo, like I figured, I kind of had my suspicions, and I still love you. But never, I feel like it's counterproductive to like sit someone out and out them. That's like the worst thing you could do for someone. At least for me, in my opinion, I think that's the worst thing you could do.
Is there something you wish you had growing up that you didn't have before you came out, like, or
more like gay people and social and just in general and more exposure to it. And I think that's a little bit more now. Like there's shows about gay kids in high school when they're coming out. I wish I had more of that. I really wish I had more of that.
More resources.
Yeah. Actually, and I did have a teacher that was openly gay. And up to this day, that's the one person that was the only real and positive like person I looked up to at the time. And I remember my mom loved that teacher, so she knew it was coming.
It's funny that you say that because I had a teacher in 6th grade that was gay too. His name was Mr. Cortez. And that was like my first experience seeing someone that was gay, but like everybody knew. It's kind of like but you don't ask them, like you don't. And we, like you said, nobody ever asked me about my girlfriend. Nobody ever asked him if he was married or anything. Like you just didn't ask. He was such a good teacher that you were just like, oh, he's cool. He's gay.
No, it's the teacher having culero, but he was like he was really strict, but he was a really good. And I remember he knew about me obviously, like sabemos. So we have our gaydar, so we knew, and like I knew he was, and he knew I was. Obviously, we didn't talk about it. It was student-teacher relationship, so he was very professional in his job. But he would always challenge me in school. He's like, Ruben, you could do better than this. Y era bien culero. Like he would throw the paper at me. And So, but he was really good. And then during high school, senior year, we were fundraising, and as a group, we went to Europe. It was like maybe 15, 20 of us, and that gay teacher was the one that was in charge of it. And once we're in Europe, I remember we're in Italy, and he's like, okay, we're going to the gay village. And I was like, okay, so you're telling me, so we're cool, we both know we're gay? And then he looks at me, and he's like, girl. And I was just like,
Did you say anything, or you just looked at him?
I kind of laughed. I was very young, so I was just kind of like, okay.
Okay, cool.
And then he's like, do you want me to take you to the gay village? He's like, you're 18 now? Your mom... Eventually, he talked to the parents. He's like, your kids are 18. If you don't trust your kids, don't send them to Europe. If you're sending your kids to Europe...
There's different rules out there.
Yeah. So he's like, do you want to go to the gay village with me? And I'm like, sure. But the other girls were coming along with us. And we went, and we had, like, that was one of the first... I mean, ya iba a Mexicali mucho, but, like, in a gay bar in Italy. And then, so it was fun. Like, it was really cool to connect with them in a different level after high school, right after high school.
Like, you guys both knew about each other, but that was, like, the official, like, okay, we could be comfortable.
Yeah, and it was cool. And then after that, he kind of, like, talked to me about his, he was married at the time, and told me about his boyfriend and everything. So it was really cool, and that was someone I looked up to a lot.
Learned a lot about you today that I didn't even know, and I think it's important to have these conversations and just see a perspective from someone who's part of the community and... your experience and why sometimes people are hesitant to come out.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, I can't fully 100% understand everybody's situation. Like I said, I was very blessed with the type of parents I had, very open mind.
Your friendships, everything.
My friendships, I was... it was a series of things. Like, I mean, I have another story. So there was 2 other gay kids in my high school, and they were a lot more flamboyant than I was, and I knew that if I hung out with them,
Then you would get.
I was gonna get attacked, and I kind of avoided them. I was cool with them, like, very minimal
Interactions.
pero sabía quién eran, ellos sabían que yo. Pero lo diferente era que I came out to, like I said, 15 years old, to like literally my friends in high school, and everybody found out. So como que they wouldn't bully me as much as they would bully them because they wouldn't admit to it, or they weren't ready to come out. So, they were a little bit more flamboyant, so there was kind of like, wait, eres bien joto, like, no te hagas. But anyway, so los atacaban más y yo me alejaba más de ellos because I'm like, si me junto con ellos, me van a chingar a mí también. So, and, we did not develop a friendship. And that's one thing I kind of regret. I wish I would have been closer with those 2 other boys and being like, you know what?
Perhaps to protect them,
let's
or to
protect
introduce
each
them,
other.
to introduce them to your friends.
But I didn't know at the time, and I was just like, wait, like.
You were just trying to figure out yourself.
And I was just trying to survive high school, like. I'm like, yo quiero que me inviten a la fiesta.
Que no me dejen en la casa.
Era bien pedos. I was just like, no, si no voy a la fiesta. Si me junto con estos jotillos, no me van a invitar. So,
but I mean,
and then
like,
years later, I ran into one of them at a bar at my hometown. Like, for Thanksgiving, everybody goes back to town. Like, probably 3, 4, 5 years later after high school. And he's like, I used to hate you. And he came up to me. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey. He's like, I used to hate you in high school. I'm like, okay, why? He's like, because everybody was so cool with you for the most part, but they hated me.
Aww.
And I remember I was just like, and I apologized to him in the moment. I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry that I never befriended you, that I never, connected with you, that I never, like, just ser amigos and, like, protect each other. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I knew you were getting bullied a lot. So I just, like, stood away, like, even further because I was so scared that bully was going to, like, jump onto me. Like, that when they were bullying
You didn't want
him.
the hate that he was getting.
Yeah, and I knew that if I befriended him, they were going to hate me, too. And that's one other thing I do regret. And I feel bad. And I did apologize to him at the time. But, yeah. So my high school experience wasn't horrible, to be honest. It was pretty fun, actually.
Pura fiesta.
Sí, era pura fiesta, era puro desmadre. And a lot of it had to do with the girls. They protected me so much. And they honestly, like, they protected me so much. Like, I knew, like, when people talk shit about me, ellas de volada respondían. Yeah. So I'm very blessed with that. My mom también, I think at church, they came after her, or not come after her, but they made a comment. And mi mamá no se dejó.
Oh, I never asked you. How was it, like, you brought boyfriends around your family?
Yeah, I have.
And how was that? Like, were you nervous?
I was nervous that they were going to like him, not nervous that it was a guy. Uh-huh. I was nervous.
That they weren't going to like him?
Because of the type of person that he was. But it wasn't an issue like, I'm bringing a boyfriend, like, un vato. Like, it wasn't an issue. It was just like, I'm bringing someone. But my parents were super cool. Like I said, my parents are super open-minded. They're like, okay, si tienes un novio, presente. And I feel like my mom and my dad took that route. They're like, I'd rather be in my son's life by showing him I accept him in every aspect of their life. Like, si tiene novio, que nos los presente, because we want to know who he's with. We want to know where he's
they want to know about you.
Engaging, where's he hanging out. With my friends, too. Like, I just took them to Mexicali.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Earlier this year. So my gay friends from LA, I took them for the first time, and it's the first time they met my parents. And my parents were, like, happy to meet them. They're like, esos son los amigos que me has hablado todos estos años. I'm like, yeah, that's them. So, like, my parents want to be involved in my life. So I feel they took that route. They're like, I'd rather have my son in my life. So I'm going to accept him just as he is, and everything's fine. And they're honestly, like, super cool. They are the best. Like, my mom tried to set me up once.
Yeah, you didn't tell me this. ¿Con quién? ¿Con el hijo de la comadre?
No, con el superintendent.
Ay, perdón.
Y resulta que no es gay.
Well, I just want to thank you, Ruben, for coming on Unbreakable Latina. I'm sure everyone's going to want you back because everybody loves you all the time. Whenever I introduce Ruben, like, to my family, to my friends, everyone's like, oh, Ruben's so cool. I'm like, he's all right. Thank you so much.
I'll let you know, I'm so proud of everything you've done. I know you. I saw you from the beginning, starting.
I was
off.
stressing.
I haven't listened to a single episode, pero I'm very
Pero
proud.
ahora sí me lo voy a. Ahora sí. Thank you so
I'm
much.
so proud of you. I see how hard you work and.
And tell them how hard I work at work too.
También el trabajo. Yo más, pero.
Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Ahí nos
Bye.
vemos.